Purple Jesus, or I guess
Hussam.
Burgundy Jesus, back in football.
Hussam.
More coaches getting it wrong at the college football level.
Hussam.
And Ice Cube in a sports video.
Hussam.
All this and more in today's episode of the K-Will Show.
Hussam.
Let's get to business. On Wednesday, Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer was suspended for the first 3 games of the Buckeyes season. Meyer admitted that he knew that police were investigating charges into the domestic abuse case of Smith back in 2015. The conditions behind Meyers' suspension is what's raising eyebrows within the public view. Meyers will miss games against Oregon State, Rutgers, and TCU, all games outside of the Big 10 conference. As the details of Meyers' suspension were revealed, Meyer would come under more fire after a press conference involving Ohio State President Michael Drake and Athletic Director Gene Smith, where Meyer would speak from a prepared speech that was no longer than 2 minutes. During the speech, Meyer would apologize to Buckeye Nation and to the players and fans and to the donors, boosters, etc., etc. But one name that never came around was the actual victim, who was Courtney Smith. Courtney Smith was the former wife of Jason Smith during the allegations back in 2015. Meyers' omission of the victim and family are starting to get the public brewing about how colleges have handled these situations in the past. This is similar to a story that I covered in the last episode about the University of Maryland and former head coach for the football team, DJ Durkin. In addition to Durkin, Meyer also has a very spotty coaching history dating back to his time at the University of Florida. During his time in Florida between 2005 and 2010, there were reported 31 arrests of former University of Florida players, all under the tutelage of Urban Meyer. It's being argued that Meyers is getting off light with his suspension, and I tend to agree. Of course, Meyers being the head coach at Ohio State yields so many benefits for the university, as Ohio State has won 92% of their regular season games while Meyers has been the head coach, including a national championship back in 2014. One of the nuggets to take away from this investigation was the fact that Meyers' attorney claimed that he suffered from memory loss due to medication he was taking during the time of Zach Smith's violations. So what you're telling me is one of the most legendary coaches in the history of college football was a crackhead?
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
All jokes aside, although Meyer has been suspended, everything has been handled internally within Ohio State. This means that the NCAA still has the opportunity to do their own investigation, and they could also hand out additional suspensions in addition to what Ohio State has already mandated. Former assistant coach Ryan Day will take over for Urban Meyer as he sits out the first 3 games of the season. In NFL news, on Wednesday, the Washington Redskins signed former NFL MVP Adrian Peterson to a 1-year deal at the veteran minimum of $800,000 per year. The former MVP will look to add an immediate jolt to a Washington Redskins backfield that was number 28th ranked rushing in the NFL last season. His first action was a preseason game against the Denver Broncos this past Thursday. Peterson would get the majority of the snaps in the first half and show flashes of the MVP of old as he would record 56 rushing yards on 11 attempts, a 5.1 yard per touch average. Peterson would consistently show flashes of the Peterson from his prime, finishing off runs falling forward and helping out the Washington Redskins to convert numerous 3rd downs and 1 4th down on his last carry for the day. Albeit a small sample size, I could definitely see Peterson having an immediate impact with Washington this season. After a lackluster 2017 campaign, where Peterson would start the season in New Orleans and end the season in Arizona, Peterson is looking to show that he will end his career on his own terms. Redskins offensive tackle Trent Williams, who was the former teammate of Peterson at Oklahoma, approves the pickup. In an interview with the Washington Post, Williams was quoted saying this about Peterson: "He hasn't slowed down a step. I don't understand the stigma when people get 31, 32, 33, they somehow just slow down. You don't. That's a gifted athlete, you know? He has a gift." Head coach Jay Gruden didn't know exactly which Peterson that he was getting, but he was definitely optimistic after Thursday's game. When I asked Peterson if he sensed he had made an impression, he said, "Not really, but it's me just taking advantage of the opportunity. Coming in and setting the example for the young guys and making the guys on the defensive side better as well, and the offensive line as well. It's my mentality going on 12 years now, and so far for me, it's the norm. Peterson is no stranger to adversity, and he's had his own ups and downs throughout his career. After showing elite talent the moment he stepped on the field in 2007, in 2011, Peterson would tear both his ACL and MCL in a game, ironically against his current team, the Washington Redskins. Peterson would answer back the next season in a big way, becoming only the 5th player in league history to rush for over 2,000 yards, and was only 9 yards away from breaking the all-time record. These marks would also earn him AP Offensive Player of the Year, as well as the league's MVP award. In 2014, Peterson's career would take yet another turn as he was suspended for the majority of the year after being accused of child abuse. He would again return with a vengeance in 2015 as he would rush for nearly 1,500 yards and be voted All-Pro for his 4th season. 2016 and 17 were both filled with adversity for Peterson as he would tear his meniscus in his final season with Minnesota. After the season, Minnesota chose not to exercise their option on Peterson, which landed him in New Orleans and eventually in Arizona. Although Peterson did show signs of himself in his prime, I definitely don't see him as the full-time starter in Washington. At age 33, of course he could still have a splash in the NFL, but I don't feel that his body will hold up throughout the whole season as a full-time back. If his past is any indication, he'll definitely bounce back in the 2018 season. For a change of pace, let's go to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Friday, where the 2nd annual Big 3 Championship was held against Power and Three's Company. Power would get the victory 51-43 over Three's Company in a game that was dominated by former NBA star Corey Maggette. For those of you who don't know, the Big 3 is a league that was started by founder Ice Cube and entertainment executive Jeff Quatinetz. Let's spell check that. Created back in 2017, the Big 3 gives retired NBA legends the opportunity to compete against other NBA legends and also former college stars as well. Although the championship was a very successful event, overall I just wanted to give a shout out to Ice Cube for creating a unique, entertaining, and fun platform for the fans to enjoy. The Big 3 plays a full season, including playoffs, and this championship game marked the end of a 2nd successful season of operation under Ice Cube. And on Friday, I guess he could say, today was a good day. That's gonna end today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in to the K-Will Show. I appreciate you guys every single week. We're gonna keep this thing rolling, getting better and better every week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below. Check out my new content, check out my old content, and let's keep it going. I appreciate you guys. K-Will, signing out.